Hello, animation fans, and welcome to another iAnimate podcast. I'm your host, Larry Vasquez, and you're listening to episode 93. In this episode, we have Coran Kizer Stone joining us. Coran is a storyboard artist as well as a character designer. I'd come across his work online and just thought it was amazing. I love his style and his creativity, as you kind of have seen on maybe some of his fast food characters that he came up with. He's worked for such companies as Sony Animation, DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, and Marvel. And so I figured to make for a cool podcast. I reached out to him, he agreed, and this is the interview. Coran, I really just appreciate you joining us on this podcast. You know, it's kind of briefly talked right before this. I know you guys are busy, but it's always neat to get unique people in here to talk about animation. You've got a different background than maybe some of our other guests that we've had that are strictly in animation, doing animation. You've got character design, storyboard. And one of the things that I just was really excited to get you in on this podcast, and we'll definitely get you linked out to there for those that haven't seen your work. I was just really in love with your style, man. And then I think it was the fast food fighters.
Oh yeah.
That really just sunk their teeth into me, man. I was just blown away because it seemed to really kind of have your style, but as well as just exemplified your creativity. And so I was really happy that you agreed to jump on this interview with us. So thank you very much, first and foremost.
Oh, no problem. No problem. It's great to be a guest in your awesome podcast.
All right. Yeah, you mentioned when I reached out to you, you just started catching some of our podcasts. That was kind of, I think, good timing here. So
yeah. So a few episodes. You have Frank Abney and a few of my friends who you interviewed.
Killer. Cool. All right, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you in on there. First off, I'd like to find out, you know, we've kind of talked with some of our guests, how they came into being animators per se. How did you come into this realm, but primarily in regards to character designer?
Well, how did I get into animation?
Yeah.
Like, the animation industry.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be a security guard at the docks in Jersey. And when I wasn't on patrol guarding like sea vessels that came from other countries, I was going to my booth and drawing on Xerox paper, random drawings of Spider-Man and Batman and all that stuff. But every time I draw a character, there's always a story, a reason on why I'm drawing them the way I am. So, like, for instance, if I draw Batman and Robin, what if Robin trained Batman as a kid into Batman? You know what I'm saying? Nice. So it's Robin and Batman instead of Batman and Robin. I would come up with stories like that. And then I would go home, scan those drawings in, color them up in Photoshop, and then add my little description on DeviantArt and put them on DeviantArt afterwards, and then go back to work.
Very cool. Very cool.
So after a while, people in the industry, they saw my work and they were interested. They just called me out of the random from like Warner Brothers when I came home from work, and they asked me if I was interested in working for them. And
what did you think?
I was like, this can't be Warner Brothers. There's no way. It was like, I really didn't believe that I was talking to anybody from Warner Brothers. First of all, I thought that you had to go to school for art, but you just had to be really good,
There you go.
Yeah. And so after about 4 minutes of talking to Bobby Page, the line producer at Warner Brothers at the time, I was like, this is really Warner Brothers, isn't it? And she was like, yeah. Want to know if you're interested in working for us? And I was like, yeah, sure, I could do that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So she put me on a conference call with all of the people that were interested in talking to me, and I guess further trying to get me into working for Warner Brothers, which was Joaquin DeSantos, Phil Barraza, Lauren Montgomery, Sam Liu, these people who are huge in the animation industry. Mm-hmm. So they definitely got
kicked in here. Now, I love what you're talking about here because, we're in online animation workshops and things of that nature. And we have a lot of people ask us, about degrees or sometimes about that, or parents, might ask about that. And that's one of the things we try to communicate is going, hey, at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper. You have to be able to show why you're hireable, right? And so that's why we get industry professionals teaching our students. But it's the same thing for you as you're going, you thought I had to go to school somewhere, but you go, at the end of the day, can your work produce what someone's looking for to hire you? And that's what you're able to do. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah. You gotta like love it. You gotta, be super passionate when it comes to, art. I mean, I'm an artist, man. I just love art. And, when it doesn't matter what kind of art it is. I've done it all because I had to get paid somehow also. So before animation, I was doing graphic design, I was doing oil painting, I was doing portraits, whatever anybody has. So, but once the animation industry hit me up, they're like, hey, you want to work for us? I was like, I can do that.
Yeah, very nice. Now, was there any artists that you kind of, because you've got a really cool style too. Was there any artists that you kind of latched onto as you were kind of developing, or just really were inspired by, or how did that kind of work for you?
Well, I mean, because like I said, because I'm a fan of art, I've been majorly inspired by every form of art that I could see. So I was sort of meshing a lot of that into, I guess, my style that I have now.
Okay.
The style that I'll have in 5 years from now and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think it's just that. It's just like a mixture of all types of art in one. And that's where it comes from, probably. But there's no like specific artist that I gravitate towards.
Okay.
That that I'm sort of, wow, they're really cool.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was a big Jim Lee fan like back in 1991, 1992.
Gotcha.
I'm old, so
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Not getting any younger, huh?
No.
Yeah. So now, what was the project they hired you for?
So the first project or animation DTV that I worked on over on Warner Brothers Animation was it was Green Lantern Emerald Knights, I believe.
Cool.
Right? No. It was actually Superman Shazam. I worked on that with Joaquin Dos Santos and Keanu Ryu, who's the executive producer on a show on Netflix now, I believe.
Very cool.
So yeah, and I think Joaquin is now directing the second Spider-Verse movie with Miles Morales.
Nice.
But yeah, that was the first project that I worked on, and Joaquin, he wasn't really expecting me to come to California. It was supposed to be like a little test. They were going to send me out a test, and I was going to do it, and they were going to decide on if I could work. But I was like, you called me too late, baby. You called me. I'm coming out. And so Joaquin was like, so what kind of job do you work at? And I was like, I don't work at that job anymore. I work here. I work at Warner Brothers.
You're all in.
Yeah. And he's like, go. He's like, oh, okay. I guess this was supposed to be a 2-week test for you, but I guess you work here now. I said, yeah. There's a saying that I don't know if I made it up or if I just heard it from somewhere, but I was like, if you think about if you think about anything for too long, you could talk yourself out of everything. So I don't want to. I didn't want to think about coming to California and not being able to do it and blah blah blah, talking myself out of it.
Right.
To do it, so I moved out to California in 2 days.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah. After getting the call, I was like, I'm just gonna move out there. I'll figure out where I'm gonna live. I lived in, I think, a hotel for about a week.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So now I see that are you back on the East Coast right? Oh yeah, because we're doing a 3-hour time difference. So you're back on the East Coast?
Yeah. I'm visiting my folks right now.
Okay, so do you live in California then?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I've been there for 12 years.
Okay, so you've not gone back. Okay, I was curious. I mean, you said to do a 3-hour difference on this. I wasn't sure if you were back on the East Coast doing freelance or what.
Yeah. Every now and again, I'll come back here to visit my folks, and then they think I'm living here now. So You know,
You're like, no, I got to go back to the hotel.
Yeah, so no, I gotta go. No, the only reason why I'm at the hotel here is because so at the moment I'm staying with my father, right? He has this huge house in Elizabeth, Jersey, here, and but he doesn't care that I'm in interviews or have meetings. He'll he was, hey, Coran. He's just like, Daddy, I'm in an interview. Coran, we're going to Costco. You wanna? I can't. I'm like, look.
I'm literally like in a meeting right now.
Yeah, I'm in a meeting right now. Hey, he'll come in and say, hey, what's up, guy? I'm like, oh man, no.
You're like, I'm not just FaceTiming my buddies here.
But yeah, but he's a great guy, man.
You're like, I love you too, Dad.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. We're going to I was just asking him if we wanted to go to Costco.
Now, you said you did some odd stuff before that, just, make ends meet and stuff like that. Did you think about getting into the animation industry, or was that not quite on your radar yet until Warner Brothers called you?
No, like I said, I didn't think that you could get in the industry because I thought you had to go to school for animation.
Gotcha.
So, and I had never gone to school for art. I was just sort of doing it because I loved it a lot. And if somebody needed something pertaining to art, I would do it for them.
Dude, that is so cool.
So I was like, but once my friend Chris Copeland, who was working over at Warner Brothers at that time, he called me. He said, "Hey man, the people over here at Warner Brothers, they love your stuff." I was like, "Oh, it's cool. It's really cool." But until I got the call from the line producer, and that didn't really. That's when I was like, oh, "Okay, well, maybe I can do it."
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw on your LinkedIn, Chris Copeland, his I guess recommendation for you. I thought this was super cool. He said, talented beyond belief and constantly pushing his craft to new heights with a great portfolio and resume. So that's a very nice compliment to have from him. Yeah.
I mean, me and Chris, man, we're super inspired by all the artists, and we're really nosy when it comes to everything art. When we were the first test to bring people from the internet into animation. One of the first tests, like there wasn't really anybody they were doing that with at that time.
Okay.
And so once me and Chris got into the animation industry, man, we were like, what's a background artist doing? What are the prep artists doing? What are the colorists doing? We were just being nosy and trying to soak it all in,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did. Chris is now a director.
That's what I saw in there. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So now when you got to Warner Brothers, 2 days out to California, what was the environment like? What was, you mentioned that first they were going to kind of do a 2-week test. How did that change? Or, I mean, obviously you were there for longer than 2 weeks. So
yeah. I was just learning. I was a dude, I didn't want to go home. So I was like, like I said, I was absorbing as much as I possibly could. So I didn't know anything about film tech or terminology. Like I didn't know what medium shots and close-ups and all that stuff was when it came, because when they first brought me out, they wanted me to be a storyboard revisionist and storyboard artist and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so I didn't know anything about storyboarding. I didn't even know that was a thing,
Gotcha.
At that time, right? And so, but in 2 weeks, I knew all the terminologies. I
Gotcha.
learned as much as I possibly could. So one of the directors of one of the DTVs, Jay Oliva, I was talking to him, having a conversation with him, and he was like, "Hey, what'd you do before you got here in animation?" I said, "I used to be a security guard, man." And he was like, "What?" He said, and that was 2 weeks ago. And he says, but I was like, but I can't go anywhere now because I know too much.
That's right.
I had learned so much in that 2 weeks of being there because I didn't want to go home.
Now, did you have any family on the East Coast? before you
Yeah,
moved?
all of my family is on the East Coast. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what did they think when you said, "Hey, I'm moving out to California in 2 days to go work in animation"? And
They were like, nah, what? See, I didn't want. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I didn't want to talk to myself too much about animation and why I couldn't do it, and also, of course, didn't want to talk to my family about it
gotcha.
because none of them have ever lived outside of the state that they live in.
Gotcha.
You know, and so if they knew that the youngest brother, the baby, was going to leave 3,000 miles away, then they would have tried to talk me out of leaving. So I didn't tell them. I didn't tell them until the day I left.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But
Okay.
they were distraught. They were like, no.
Should have called him from California. Said, "Hey, can you take a collect call from California?"
Yeah. They said, where are you at? I'm in California.
That's right.
Los Angeles.
So now, you mentioned that was your first project there. How did you get them to turn a 2-week test to long term, or for the time that you were there for that duration?
I just kind of showed them that I wasn't only. So the thing about storyboard revision and storyboard art is not all about drawing pretty pictures. It's about, of course, the story. And so I wanted to show them that I didn't care as much about making pretty pictures for these pictures in sequential order and all that stuff. So I was concerned about like what was in the script and making sure that when you saw it, you could easily decipher what was going on.
Nice.
Right. And they realized that I was paying. I figured that out in the beginning. Now, some artists in the beginning they don't take on to that all that well.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Was that a difficult transition for you? So it sounds like it wasn't. Then you were able to tone it down, so to speak, in order to
I'm not going to say it
serve the
wasn't
story.
difficult. I'm not going to say it wasn't difficult. It was definitely it took some time to figure it all out. Especially the hookups.
Okay.
You got hooking up from one shot to the next shot. I kept forgetting. It was, oh yeah, that character was like in this position. Now I got him doing this. Like he was doing this. Now I got him doing like shooting the gun. I was like, maybe I should, So I had to make sure that I was, making everything harmonious.
Now, did you growing up, was story, cartoons, or you mentioned, comics, was as Jim Lee, was story something that you loved kind of growing up a little bit, or was that something you kind of developed when you were in this environment?
I think story was always something that was I was concerned with. Like the only reason why I wanted to draw pictures in the first place was in order to get those stories out of my head.
Gotcha.
Cool. Extract those stories out of my head. So like there's a reason or a story in everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the only reason why I draw in the first place, is because I'm trying to get a story out of it.
Killer. I love it. I love it.
My father is a playwright as well. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. And he writes music. So I've always been around creatives, who create story for a living.
Gotcha. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And one of the reasons I like that you bring that up too is because that's very important. Something that we teach our students and stuff like that, that there's that subtext, what's kind of going on behind the scene, or you may have a mechanic shot, but it's not just lifting something up. What's the thought process? What's the story behind this? So same concept. And that's why I was looking forward to speaking with you, even though it's not directly animating per se, it's still that same field of going, I'm telling a story.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
very cool.
There's a reason why I wear red or bell-bottom pants or something like that, a big afro in my head, which I would never do. But that's right.
Okay, so
short shorts and high socks. No, I'm kidding.
Old school looking PE coach or something.
What you say?
I said old school looking PE coach or something.
Exactly.
The high shorts and the long socks.
Yeah, a little sweater with little short shorts, tube socks, and maybe some sandals. I don't know.
There you go.
Change it up. No, I would never do that.
So, okay, I want to segue back into this, but I think this is interesting because, like I said, one of the things I loved about your stuff was the fast food fighters. So not only the super cool concept of character design for something like a fast food, but the idea of fighters and then what kind of went along with that, which kind of goes again back to going, okay, well, what if, right? What if the story? So what was the genesis or the concept for these fast food fighters? Where'd you come up with that idea?
You know what? Actually, it was just a random sort of idea. I was just like, what if I drew Ronald McDonald? That's pretty much it. You know, I was like, I want to draw Ronald McDonald, but make him look kind of cool.
Oh,
and then when
succeeded.
I put it up online, it was more of the commenters that was like, "Oh, this is really cool. I like it. Looks like an anime, blah blah blah." And that sort of gave me the idea. I was like, maybe I should draw all of the characters sort of as anime fighters or something. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty much, and most of these fast food companies, they don't have mascots.
Yeah.
So I was like, sort of, I want it, which kind of like it got my brain working. I was like, what if I was to make a really cool version of, what if they did have a mascot?
I think it was Popeye's one that didn't have one. I thought, and you came up with a real cool design for that one.
Yeah. Well, they have there's a woman that is sort of, she's like the spokesman in the commercials.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that female that I drew is based on that woman.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking the P for the Popeye. So yeah, I didn't think about the like a design there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she, the reason why her arms are big, mechanical, is because of Popeye.
Ah, there you go. Okay. See, wonderful. That's awesome.
Yeah. I thought maybe
cool.
Popeye was her mentor or something like that, and he taught her.
Very cool. Very cool.
She was a protege.
Was there any ones in particular that you, I know this is going to sound kind of, that you liked more? It's kind of like, which one of your kids, favorites? You can't do that. But was there any of your fast food ones that you kind of, at the end of the day, that stood out to you a little bit more, that you particularly liked?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the Five Guys one. That was pretty fun. That was slightly based off of Naruto.
Okay.
Or Naruto. When I said that on TikTok, you say it's Naruto, not Naruto. I'm like, it's my Jersey accent. I'm from Jersey. Come on. But and then I also I like I don't draw enough cowboys, so when I did Arby's as the gunslinger,
gotcha.
Cowboy, that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Was there any ones that were tougher for you than you were expecting? The concept or the thought, hey, what can I do for this one?
No, my brain, you know what? My brain kind of just like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool. Not really. I'm doing Subway right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one is kind of like, what should I do for Subway?
Yeah.
And then I thought of him like a big guy who's like built like a Subway owner.
Okay.
He's from New York. He talks like this, like, "Oh, what's up?" Turkey and cheese.
One of my favorites was, I think, the Jack in the Box.
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I like how that one turned out a lot. That one, and then also Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Uh-huh.
I just liked how you turned the Colonel, someone who's kind of just older and does, kind of but looked like a superhero. So yeah, some of my faves.
Yeah, he's the bad guy. He's supposed to be the antagonist.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought Ronnie was good. Ronald McDonald's.
Yeah. He's I don't know if you know if you ever watched Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. I've not watched him, but I'm familiar with him.
Okay, he's sort of like the Mugen or the Spike.
Cool.
In those two cartoons. So
very cool.
Very nonchalant, but is really masterful when it comes to his fighting and all that stuff.
Nice. Now, do you watch much anime and stuff like that?
Yeah, I watched a lot of anime. I've been watching anime since I was a very little kid.
Okay, gotcha,
I watch
gotcha.
all cartoons, man. I don't discriminate when it comes to cartoons.
Yeah.
Love it all. Yeah, man.
So some of that bled into obviously you kind of growing up in regards to some of that style as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially the intense and the exaggerated action.
Yeah.
I'm a huge action adventure and just action fan.
That's one of the things that stood out to me from your artwork was some of the exaggerated poses, some of your Spider-Man and stuff, just really, really nicely done. And so maybe that's kind of where you're kind of going from on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people they get on Michael Bay when it comes to his action movies, but I've always kind of been into him because not because of the writing, of course. It's not the writing sucks in most Michael Bay, but the way he shoots his action, especially the car chases and stuff like that. Some of those up shots, like when they're rotating. Like that,
Gotcha.
Bad Boys. I don't know if he did Bad Boys. Did he do Bad Boys?
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that shot when Will Smith and Martin Lawrence they're rising up after falling on the ground or something like that? And then I was like, I like this. Draw that,
Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, action, live action, and animation. I just so good.
Nice.
Big action.
Okay, now back to your time at Warner Brothers. You said what was the name of the project?
It was Superman Shazam. That was the first project I worked on.
Okay. Now, what else did you do from there? At Warner Brothers.
At Warner Brothers, I worked on Batman Year One.
Okay.
Worked on Green Lantern Emerald Knights. I was also developing a Batman show with James Tucker. A post-apocalyptic Batman.
Okay.
Where he was kind of big. He looked very much like the Arkham game.
Okay.
Batman, because it was loosely based on that. It was like a mesh between Batman animated with Bruce Timm and the Arkham game in one. So they wanted me to be the character designer of that.
Killer.
And, yeah, that was actually my last day at Warner Brothers. Bobby Page was like, hey, James Tucker wants to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went to talk to him the next day, and he was like, hey, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do what you do. He said, no, what do you want to do right now? And I said, character designer. He said, okay, you're going to be a character designer on Batman, new show. I was like, oh, okay, well, that sounds awesome. I love Batman.
So up to that point, were you doing mostly storyboarding and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so you hadn't done much of the character design yet.
Yeah, I hadn't done character design at all. That was my first ever professional job as a character designer.
Man, that is super cool to jump on something Batman then.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that sounds awesome. And he had just gotten off. James had just gotten off of Brave and the Bold. Or that show was about to end, and he was about to direct. They wanted him to direct and produce the new show, Batman show, which was more serious and stuff. So
gotcha.
He liked my character design for years, and he wanted me to be the lead character designer on that show.
That's amazing.
So I ended up designing tons of Batman character versions, and of course all of his rogues gallery. And I even wanted his Batmobile to look more like a muscle car instead of the Michael Keaton version, which of course in the Batman live action movie it looks like a lot like the one that I kind of was designing on that show.
Very cool. The new one that's coming out.
Yeah.
Are you excited for that one?
It looks pretty good.
I think it looks pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I think the trailer had me sold a little bit. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. So now, before we jump back into the character design, what was if you were to kind of sum up your time as a storyboard artist, because that was kind of jumping into school, so to speak, because you were learning a lot. What were some of the biggest things that you were taking away now, having been in the animation industry?
Um, uh, just I don't know. Story mostly, like making sure that you read all of the script.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I was reading like my part. I was like, okay, this is important because this is the part I'm working on. But you got to sort of understand the whole story in order for you to add to the story. I feel
Okay,
like.
that's good.
Yeah, and then just making sure that you're friendly. Just not an asshole and have an ego and all that stuff. So.
Doesn't sound like you have one, so that's good. I mean, we all have egos, but I mean,
yeah, I mean, like, come on, we're working in anime. We're making cartoons, guys.
that's right.
Why so serious?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do like that you're bringing out not just being focused on just what you're working on, because again, going back to animation, specifically after we get, boards and things like that, we have to, as animators, have to keep in mind that this is a shot within context here. So it's always, that's a great reminder for animators to be mindful of as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so now jumping into character design, which is that what you've kind of gravitated towards mostly since then? Or do you still do storyboarding as well?
I mean, I do storyboards on my own, but majority of the time when I'm, I'm being contacted to do character design for shows that people are developing. So.
Okay. The only reason I mention that is because you get your foot in the door doing storyboards, and yet you're primarily now with the character design. So that's just, it's interesting. What was that process now for you learning to do character design? Was there any hurdles that you're like, well, I want it this way, but I'm now having to understand that the director or someone else this is their vision, or, is there anything like that you kind of had to start understanding?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it wasn't, they loved my stuff and my style, but because I wasn't an established artist yet, I mean, like character designer yet.
Right.
They wanted to sort of like, can you mesh, this guy's style with this guy's style and see if you can blah, blah, blah. And so that, I had worked in other styles before, but, I realized that a lot of character design is very much trying to figuring out how to emulate them, a whole bunch of different styles.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so I wasn't necessarily doing my stuff as a character designer. I was sort of like meshing Bruce Timm stuff with something, from a game that I never even played. I was like, I never played the game. And so that's what I learned. And then when it came to like, because that show was going to be 3D animated, so you could add more detail.
Okay.
I'd never drawn characters in T-poses and stuff like that before. I didn't know you had to do that, but I had quickly learned that it wasn't a 3/4 front. It was like T-poses and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I was just curious, not having done it yet. Yeah. What were some of the things that you kind of had to figure out?
I had to figure out like, and making sure that the modelers could understand or decipher all of what was going on in terms of the design of the characters.
Gotcha. Have you done any draw overs on 3D models at all, so that it's?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I have. Definitely have. Because in the beginning they don't get it. They don't just suddenly, they take it as a process, of course.
Yeah.
And so because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I not only was doing drawovers, but I was doing like wireframe and stuff like that. And then I learned how to use a 3D modeling program myself. I was like, I'm going to learn some ZBrush and Mudbox.
Really?
Yeah. So I ended up learning Mudbox in a week. This is a pretty easy program. And then ZBrush in a couple of weeks.
Man.
Just so that I can help the modelers, kind of get in the right direction.
Right. I've always thought that would be phenomenal transition or complementary to character designers, because you're now taking what you're seeing in your head as 3D 2D and now putting it back to 3D, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it totally is, man. I feel like, yeah, some of the best character designers, especially ones who already know how to draw really well.
Yeah.
They work really well as a character designer. Like
Gotcha.
modeling characters and stuff like that.
So do you do much character modeling, or is it just kind of now free time type stuff?
Yeah, it's mostly free time, but whenever I do it, my friend Suhel, one of my closest friends, whenever I show him, I was like, hey, this is what I did last night. He's like, you should probably do that professionally.
Because I haven't seen any of your stuff online.
Yeah, I never put it up. I never put any of that stuff up. Maybe I'll people will probably enjoy it or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
Because I don't like to just draw characters standing there like this.
Okay.
But, in some poses. So yeah. And maybe add a little background to it.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
So now, how long were you doing character design at Warner Brothers? On that Batman one?
On the Batman one, I was working as a character designer for about 2 years.
Okay.
About a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It didn't end up happening because at that time they wanted to do more comedic shows, and that was around the time when Teen Titans Go came out.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, so that dark, dreary Batman. I was like, oh, this is the Dark Knight. Come on, man. He lives in Gotham City and nothing but crime happens. But and then James Tucker had just come off The Brave and the Bold, which was a very campy version of Batman. So I don't know if they believed in him as much as they should have.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Now, from there, did you go on another show or did you go to another studio?
I ended up going to a different studio, Hasbro. I worked at Hasbro.
Okay, that's what I did see on there. Now, what did you do at Hasbro?
I went back to Storyboard revision.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working on Transformers Prime as a Storyboard revisionist. And I forgot. Before that, I was working on Young Justice over at Warner Brothers.
Okay.
So after the Batman show, I worked on Young Justice.
Gotcha.
The Young Justice show with Phil Barassi.
Okay.
Because he liked some of the designs that I did on Batman, and he wanted to, have me on his show as not the secondary character designer, or he wanted me to do most of the tertiary stuff.
Gotcha.
Like do that character with the wolf outfit in the background. I said, okay, do that. And then they had me also do some posters for for Young Justice and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now, is there anything that you particularly like doing in Storyboard? I mean, okay, you do primarily storyboarding and character design, but what would you say the pros are for you that you enjoy doing in regards to storyboarding?
Just telling cool stories in different angles and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think that's I think that's fun. Having people understand, what the characters are doing based on these shots that I've chosen,
Gotcha.
in sequential order. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. It also seemed like you're almost kind of a translator, so to speak, too. You're taking what the director's vision is.
Yeah. You're
being a translator now for downstream, the animators and such like that. So it would seem like, you're translating language here, right? You're a translator.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just fun, man. I love it a lot, especially when I'm introducing it to the director and the director looks at it and there's very little edits. So you have to get that bit of because I fully understood what they were saying in the script. And that's the reason why I feel like that's why I say people should read the script, from the beginning to the end.
Gotcha.
That way you just get it. You know what they're trying to say. And you can now, you can draw.
Very cool. Do you feel like you have a good talent for that, understanding someone else's vision?
Yeah, because probably because of my father, my father being the playwright and one who wrote musicals and stuff like that. He would have me read his scripts and ask me what I thought. And
Okay.
he's been doing that ever since I was a very little kid,
Gotcha.
growing up. So, I just, and then I used to go to the Tony Awards and rehearsals, and I would watch, what they were trying to do and then what it turned into at the end results and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because my father worked for the Tony Awards. I got to.
That's very neat.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, at Hasbro, you did primarily just the storyboard.
Yeah, I was doing storyboard revision, and then I did some storyboards for Transformers Prime. And that was in the Film Roman building. So downstairs was Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, and upstairs was Transformers Prime, right?
Which one's Ultimate Spider-Man?
That was the I forgot the name of the
okay
actor.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with this series then. I think it's a little bit after me.
Yeah, there was
looks cool though.
Yeah, it was right after Spectacular Spider-Man.
Okay.
But they did Ultimate Spider-Man over at Film Roman, and I was being nosy and visiting my friends who were storyboard revisionist storyboard artists on that show. And I was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And, I love Spider-Man, so I was like, I was gonna. I was, oh wow, you guys remember working on Spider-Man? Let me see that. And so the supervising director on the show, Alex Soto, he was always in his office, and I knew he was in his office, and so I wanted to talk to him because I wanted to eventually get on the show. I was like, I was being nosy. So what you got? What are you doing here? Who's this? He said, "Hey, my name is Alex. What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, okay." He was like curious. He said, "Who are you?" I said, "My name is Coran. I work on Transformers upstairs, but just coming here to visit my friends. I'm an artist. I love Spider-Man, by the way." Anyways, so I'm Peter Parker. Yeah, I knew when it came out, year, month. But
accidentally dropped some of your artwork. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't really pick that up. Oh, that's my Spider-Man drawing here. It's so weird.
Like, I did all that. You want to check it out? Feel free. But no, I think what happened was my friend Jeff Wamaster, his cubicle was right outside of Alex's office, and Jeff was looking at my work on his computer, and so Alex, I don't know, I came over to Jeff's cubicle and he was just looking at my stuff. Maybe because I was right there, I'm not sure, but I just thought about that. But then Alex came over and he was like, "Hey, what you guys looking at?" And it was my stuff. So Alex was like, "Oh, you're really good." And so that's the reason why I ended up getting on Spider-Man after that.
Very, very cool. And that was doing the storyboards for that stuff.
Yeah, I was doing storyboards. They moved me up to the storyboard artist.
Man, that seems like that would be a very cool job to do storyboarding for Spider-Man.
Yeah, man.
Just really the movements and stuff like that, the camera angles and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it was really fun, man. I worked on some really cool episodes, Deadpool and Iron Fist and all that stuff. So.
Killer.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Now I noticed you also worked at Sony Pictures Animation as well as DreamWorks. How did that evolve within this timeline here?
Let's see. So after so I've worked at so many different studios. Starburns Industries. I worked but Sony, that was one of the last studios I just worked at.
Okay.
Working on the Boondocks.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, Boondocks animated series.
Is that with?
Yeah, Ham Magruder. He hit me up, and I was working with Chase Connolly as a secondary.
Now, I did it. This was, goodness, probably 2013, maybe a little bit after 14. I did a podcast with LaShawn Thomas.
Yeah.
You familiar with LaShawn?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I would thought. But I go, Boondock sounds familiar. Did he work on that one?
I think he did. That was the 2D animated one. I was working on the newest one that was supposed to come out, I think this year or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, the one that I was working on was going to be a 3D animated.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool. All right.
Yeah.
So that's not out yet.
No, not yet. But it should be coming out in probably a couple of years from now. I don't work on that anymore, but yeah.
Now it sounds like you do a lot of your own work because, you know, as you're mentioning, you weren't working on Spider-Man yet, and you had concept art for Spider-Man. Is that part of your process? Hey, I'm just always drawing.
Pretty much, man. I'm always coming up with my brain won't allow me to just work on somebody else's stuff. It's always like, oh, you know, it'd be a kind of cool idea while I'm working on somebody else's. It's like, you should draw. Like I'll be drawing Spider-Man. You should draw Doctor Strange. It's like, what? Okay, it's like split personality in some ways. And so in order for me not to go crazy, I'll just draw it up and I'll put it up online and then get back to work.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. That's what I was going to go ahead.
Yeah, because I draw a lot. Most of these pieces, most of the stuff that you see online is usually about 2 to 3 hours or something like that.
Gotcha.
I get back to it.
Nice. That's what I was going to ask. That's the reason why I asked you, is because oftentimes in our industry, again, nothing wrong with it, but you're always trying to meet the vision of somebody else, right? But this allows you to also work in, like you mentioned here, you wouldn't go crazy. You're getting to do some of the other stuff that's in your mind here too. And does that keep you that kind of more fulfilled in that regards?
Yeah, man. It just calms me down.
Okay.
It definitely calms me down. And then and the one thing about that that I realized is that when you draw what's in your mind, having fun also with it, and then you put it up online, people will see it and they'll want you to work on some other projects.
That's what I figured for you, particularly for concept artists and stuff.
Yeah.
That would seem like that's very, very beneficial.
Yeah, man. It's every time I put stuff on LinkedIn or Instagram or something, you know, someone will hit me up or ask me to do something for them.
That's amazing. Yeah. Like I said, that's how I came across you. I just was like, this is really, really cool stuff.
Yeah. That's what I'm teaching a little bit now, and that's what I tell my students.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like,
very cool.
You need to continue producing your own work and having fun with it. Like, what's your own creative idea? Well, extract that, because that's what drawing is in the first place, and put it on canvas.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Any particular programs you like working in?
I work in Photoshop mostly, and Procreate.
Okay.
You know, I'm always carrying my iPads around. I got 3 iPads with me, you know, and I'm always drawing on them. One runs out of energy, and use the other.
Okay, I was wondering why you had 3, so that kind of makes a little more sense now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. One is from 2019, and then the other one is 2021, and I got the 22 version.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and one processor.
There you go. So now, what are you enjoying about having worked in the animation industry still, you know, today? What kind of drives you? What kind of is inspiring for you?
Just I don't know. I feel like these days you can kind of do more than you used to. I feel like they're taking more chances, especially after Spider-Verse came out. It seems like they're like, you know, hey, we can work in different styles now. It doesn't have to be that, even though I love Disney and Pixar, it doesn't have to be that Disney Pixar style. You know, we can play with the anatomical structure of the characters and play with the story and all that stuff now. You know?
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm loving, you know, telling different stories and with a different style.
Gotcha. Did you happen to see that Arcane?
Oh man, of course. So good, so inspiring, man.
Yeah.
Drawing all throughout the whole series.
Yeah, we don't see any of your stuff on that. I'd love to see some of you, maybe your concept that you could. I know you didn't work on it, but I'm saying your interpretation or your style of it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally, man. I think I've drawn one character from what's her name, Jinx.
Okay, did you draw that? I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I drew just a real quick drawing of Jinx. I don't know if it's still up online. I might have taken it down.
Okay.
But Sun Kim, one of the guys who worked on that show, he was my supervising director on the Boondocks.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah, Sun Kim is an extraordinary artist. Man, he's so good. You probably have seen his work before.
What's his name?
Sun Kim.
Okay.
Is a SEUNGKIM. But yeah, oh, dude.
I'll have to
So
look.
great.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
He did I don't know if you ever saw the drawings where it was all the Yakuza characters, but one was Mike Tyson. The other one was a very popular Korean actor who also played in the Eternals you ever see the Eternals?
No, I haven't yet.
No? Okay. But yeah, he also played in Last Train to Busan. You ever see Last Train to Busan? No?
Sorry.
Okay.
I didn't do my homework, obviously, for this podcast. No, just kidding.
But yeah, Sun Kim, just look him up. He's really
Okay,
good.
will do, man. Will do. I love looking at. I mean, I've got these are just a couple of the books. I love this art of.
Oh yeah.
Just for those reasons, the concept art, so I love looking at concept art.
Yeah. Oh man, that's some of my favorite stuff to look at, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta get more of those type of books though. I don't really have any of that stuff around.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If when you work in-house at a studio, animation studio, like the majority of the people there, they have their cubicles all dressed up with toys and and Funko thingies, and freaking posters and all that stuff. Yeah. I had none of that.
You don't do that?
I didn't have any of that stuff. It's just like all that Funko stuff is in my head, and the posters are in my head, and it's coming. That's what I'm putting out.
Nice.
But I do want to get more books, more art books.
Nice. Yeah, these are the art of ones are fantastic. Yeah, really cool. So what? Next question here is: is there anything you do extracurricular that's not maybe drawing related or animation related that kind of you enjoy doing?
I love going to restaurants, man.
Okay.
Restaurants that I've never, like 5-star ones. I love food. I'm a big foodie.
Gotcha.
So different types of food and like experimenting. Also karaoke.
Okay.
I'm a big karaoke guy. So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I like to go for walks. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, I'm from Jersey, so northern Jersey and also New York. We walk a lot, so I guess that's the reason.
I was gonna say that complements your foodie part. That kind of keeps you nice and balanced there.
Yeah. It prevents me from getting the belly.
That's right.
I've eaten a lot, so I'm going to take a little walk because I've eaten too much steak.
There you go. Got to go work it off.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's mostly what I try to do. But the majority of the time, my fun is watching movies, man. I'm a big movie watcher.
Okay.
Before COVID, I was going to like theaters every week.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just watch a movie. Whether it could be an old movie or a new movie, it didn't matter.
Gotcha. All right. Now, so this kind of, I think, will tail dove into animation for animators per se. But what do you look for or think about when you're posing?
Just exaggeration of the anatomical form.
Okay.
How to play with the human, the foreshortening of the character. I tell some of my students to, like, if you want to exaggerate, if you want to draw the human body, use your body. but yeah, I mean, human watch. Look at humans. Like go outside and just watch how they move, how their clothing moves, what type of clothing they wear, what type of hairstyle they wear, and all that stuff. It's really, to me, I think that's interesting. Life is the most interesting thing that you can ever sort of observe.
Yeah.
I mean, as artists, we're kind of like Sherlock Holmes when it comes to reality. We're reality detectives. So.
There you go. I like that. I like that a lot. Very cool. So, but anything that, you know, because you're kind of thinking and putting it down to paper, are there things that you feel are strong poses that kind of stick out in your mind as you're thinking about it? You know, for example, I like kind of going back to the KFC guy, you know, it was just that you mentioned he's the villain, right? Or the antagonist.
Yeah.
But it's almost kind of that hero pose, right? That kind of strong, you know. So what is it for you that you're thinking about when you're putting this guy down or something like that?
It's mostly like, what are these characters thinking? How would they pose? Like,
okay,
how would you pose if you were standing still? You know, would you pose just like, you know, like a robot, or because of your personality, you have your own way of just your stance is slightly different from anybody else, you know? So everyone has their own sort of distinctive just way of, you know, standing there or running or whatever they're doing.
Gotcha.
And so I usually think about that. Who is this character and how would he or she pose?
Gotcha.
You know? So
that makes sense. Very nice.
That's why I say there's a reason why behind everything, and there's a story behind what anyone does.
Yeah.
It's not just I'm a stone character. You know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is just the way it is. I know nobody knows. No, even Trump, he has his own way of doing this.
That's right.
I know how to do it. You know, he's got his own.
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, man.
That's a great point. So you're looking at not how to pose this character, but how would this character be posed based upon who they are.
Yeah, based on their personality.
Very good, man. Very good. Well, Coran, we're coming up here on an hour. I don't want to take any more of your time. I really appreciated your insight, the conversation, getting to kind of actually meet you. Like I said, I've been a big fan of your artwork. So I appreciate you taking the time to join us in this podcast, man.
Oh, no problem, man. This is an awesome podcast, and hopefully I can do it again sometime.
Absolutely. All right. And with that, we're out.